What was banned in your school because of a crazy incident? In my middle school, they banned kids from saying, "Whoop, there it is." Yep. If you said it, you got detention. Whoop, there it is. I can just imagine a teacher freaking out. Who the duck said that? Zip ties. People used to quietly and slowly zip tie people to their desks through their belt loops during class. Duckers. Our school did turtling. Unattended backpacks were emptied, turned inside out, zipped up and zip tied. It got to the point where I would bring a penknife to school and be everybody's hero. Brass instruments were banned in my school. I can't believe I'm reading that. Apparently my high school used to have an archery club for the mentally handicapped students. You kinda see where this is going. Someone got shot with an arrow. Archery club banned. B-blades. They were the coolest thing at the time. Then some kid came to school and taped razor blades to the edges of his to make it stronger. He wasn't wrong. Those were banned at a summer camp I worked at. The kids resorted to spinning acorns in the lid of a trash barrel. Addicts. Boxing gloves. Because a couple of years ago, a few guys started a fight club in one of the bathroom stalls. Inside a single stall? You sure that was fighting? And not another word that starts with F. Pooping. Bringing your own water bottles. It was only a matter of time until vodka was involved. This got banned in our school and we staged a protest as athletes. We needed water throughout the day and going to the drinking fountain just wasn't doing it. As such, the new policy was that teachers had to smell our water bottles. That was fun. Anybody put chloroform in their water bottle? Highly illegal but hilarious. Glue sticks. There was a fad where people would throw glue sticks onto the ceilings all around the school. It became a big game about who can get one in the most bizarre place. Sharp as permanent markers. Senior year, a group of kids organized a knife fight throughout the school. Basically the people participating would wear plain white shirts and be split into gangs. Each gang was armed with a different color marker. The goal was to stab people on other gangs as many times as possible. After a couple injuries and couple people who accidentally wore white that day, the administration got more than a little angry. Students weren't allowed to use the elevator after a couple was caught having sex in it. Our high school only allowed students with injuries and the fat teachers to use ours. When I was little, I used to pray that I would break my leg just so I could go on the elevator. Sure, I used one every day at my apartment building, but this one was special. It was a school elevator. Google. We have to use Bing. I don't even know why. Cashing in on their Bing rewards? I went to high school, graduated the same class as the guy who got suspended for wearing a Pepsi shirt on Coke Day. So, I guess you could say Pepsi shirts were banned because of Coke Day. It was crazy. Mike ended up on Letterman. Also, our school was only 2 years old at the time. A PepsiCo spokesman, Bradshaw, said, without knowing all the details, "It sounds like Mike's obviously a trendsetter with impeccable taste in clothes. We are going to make sure he's got plenty of Pepsi shirts to wear in the future once we track him down." Ducking amazing. They banned scarves in my high school because apparently the first year principal got the idea in her head that only gang members wear scarves. The weirdest part was we lived in an upstate New York town that never had anything close to a gang problem. Long story short, every student protested by wearing scarves the next day. CNN caught wind of it, and my school got national attention for the first and last time. Shortly after that the principal was fired, scarves were allowed again and everyone stopped wearing them like usual. TLDR. Principal banned scarves, got fired almost immediately after. Pokemon cards were banned at my elementary school. People complained about shutty trades, and it was basically used as currency. One kid refused to comply. My teacher made him go buy a clear backpack. It was a private school, so she apparently could do that shut, so she could check his shut without having to dig through it. Funny thing is I have no fucking idea why that kid kept bringing them when no one else in the school did. What the duck were you doing with them, Matthew? He was fighting the man. You go, Matthew. Flipping pennies. Group of people would flip a penny, and if it landed on the side you called out, you would cheer. If it didn't, you still cheered. Administration said that this was being used as a distraction to the teachers, so that fights could go on elsewhere without them knowing. One guy got suspended for penny flipping. We had something similar at my middle school. Guys would stand in a circle, then someone would throw a handful of change in the center. Then they would beat the shit out of each other for the pennies. It was not a great school. Life in a private Jewish school is rough. My high school banned the word meep. You know, like from the Muppets? Teachers thought meep was used to mean something else, like something sexual. Nope. It was just funny to murmur it in the middle of class. Yoga pants. Or so they tried. Me and a bunch of friends, we are all guys, got together and wore them to school the day that the ban was supposed to start. The administration seemed helplessly amused and were forced to lift the ban. A wild boner appears. In my elementary school, my friends used to play pretend to be addicted to drugs and addictive substances like alcohol and smoking. One student came up with the idea that cocaine was a lot similar to sugar, so students started smuggling sugar around the school. Some genius ended up putting Kool-Aid mix into his, and then everyone started calling it happy crack. This underground kiddie drug ring ran for about 4 to 5 weeks under the school's radar until a teacher caught 2 kids making a deal. Then everyone who was involved had to sit in a giant lecture in the cafeteria and listen to the principal explain that our happy crack was a gateway drug and that it would ruin our lives. TLDR, my elementary class made a drug and ran an underground ring across the school. School wasn't happy. One of my teachers is very laid back, but has a strict no phone rule while he's teaching. 2 kids decided to buy walkie-talkies and bring them to class just to mess with the teacher. Now at the beginning of every year or semester he writes his cell phone policy on the board as well as his no walkie-talkie rule in capital letters. Damn, the girl sitting behind me has great cans. Over. This class needs to be over. This class needs to be what? Over. Tater tots were banned after Napoleon Dynamite came out. Apparently people kept hiding them in their pockets. Military recruiters in my high school are confined to having a booth in the hallway by the front entrance and walking around the cafeteria during lunch. They are not allowed to go into classes like many other schools, except the JROTC class. This is because few years before I started there, a Navy recruiter in a class started telling students about his sexual exploits while traveling around the world. Silly bans. So apparently a kid got hit by a giraffe in the eye and had to go to the hospital. We had a poop smasher incident that prohibited use of the bathrooms during lunch for an entire year. Alright, so, the poop smasher. One day, during lunch, the accused left the cafeteria to go to the bathroom. In an attempt to impress his comrades, he then squatted down and shat right in the middle of a styrofoam tray that had been laying on the ground. Since he believed that wasn't enough of a wow, he then took the tray and spread the contents all over the bathroom walls and the handles of the sinks. And that's how he was born. His name will forever remain in my heart. I love you, Poop Smasher. My school has a phantom shutter. He shuts in random places and has never gotten caught, even with the cameras our school uses. He's like Batman, but with fesses. The best part is that there's been phantom shuts happening for over 6 years now. High school lasts 4 years. Shaving your head for cancer. To set the scene, I went to a private all-girls school. If you had cancer and lost your hair, I guess they would allow it, but they would make you wear a school-colored bandana or a wig. A girl in our year actually had cancer and lost her hair and she wore a bandana to school. As a show of support, this alternative girl, think Janice from Mean Girls, decided to shave her head for cancer awareness. The school was all for it. We had a fundraiser and then had the actual shaving of the head at school. She then refused to immediately cover her freshly bald head and was sent home for the day. She then refused to cover her freshly bald head at all because she said it's nothing to be ashamed of, and that's kind of the point of doing it. She was suspended until she agreed to wear a bandana or a wig. Eventually she missed so much school that her parents and the school had a big sit down, and in the end she agreed to wear a wig. The next day she turned up in the most ridiculous Florence Henderson wig I've ever seen, and it was awesome. And no one was allowed to ever shave their head for cancer again. Dodgeball, because most games in girls' gym classes usually ended up as a race war or cat fight. They banned running at my elementary school. If you ran during recess, you'd be sitting on the bench for the rest of the break. My friend ran into a teacher accidentally while we were playing tag. She didn't fall or anything, but it was probably a bit of a surprise. This prompted Ms. Mean to punish the whole school, so she self-righteously banned running. The next day, Ms. Mean met with all the 5th grade classes to justify her decision. She said people only need 1 hour of exercise a week to be healthy. It was ridiculously stupid, and that's not any sort of justification for the decision. The tension in the room was palpable. My 5th grade teacher just sat at his desk, chuckling at the sheer ridiculous nature of the whole thing. The next day, the entire 4th grade and 5th grade sat down by the play structure for the entirety of recess. When they told us to stop sitting together via megaphone, everyone walked around the perimeter of the kickball field and sang songs together. My friends and I made a ton of flyers to bring back running. While we were handing them out before school, the principal grabbed one. We thought we were in huge trouble. It turns out the principal was never told about this ban on running. Mean old lady was taken off yard duty. I don't think she works at my elementary school anymore. Viva la revolución.